here, what it does is it highlights the fragility of the fact that you've got stream water, you've got a 15 to 20 foot natural gravel cleaning areas at the same time. Water tanks below the system. And then when it comes out, chemicals, and now we have.
Hi, Karen.
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm seeing you all over the place
Yeah, I was
these
going to say,
days.
long time no see.
The city water,
Thank you for
that. New York City is
I said you can't avoid it.
I know.
some area that they have on the beach, Ulster and those areas where they get from the reservoirs. Yeah, when they bring everything down in pipe, when I can stand, and then they throw the water out through UV things to kill any, biological sort of. UV, marine, did you have to do
6 o'clock.
Okay, let's start. This is the October 11th, 2023 meeting of the Village of Buckland Board of Trustees. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we have to do a roll call of trustees.
Mayor Falke,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Doro,
Here.
Trustee Herzog,
Here.
Trustee Cantino is absent, Trustee Murphy.
Here.
All right, thank you. So first off, I think congratulations are due to all those who planned and did the community day. It was quite a success despite the rain. So thanks to Buffy and the MBA as well as our committee, including Sarah, for all the good work you did there. Well done. Had a lot of positive feedbacks about it. So good job. Second reminder is that we've set the 25th of October as we're going to have 2 seminars for the annual training for violence and harassment in the workplace. And so one will be at 10 o'clock and then there will be at 6 o'clock. I think we're going to do them both at the Village Hall, right? That's the plan?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do that. If you have someone who's interested, these are for the officials, the employees, and the volunteers. It's an annual training requirement, so anyone's welcome to attend. Just send me or Sarah a note, just telling me that you're coming, and we'll set up the 2 videos to play, both at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. I think, Matt, you said we have access to the firehouse if we need it, but let's plan for the Village Hall unless we have an overflow crowd, right? If you can't, maybe we can do makeup, just let me know. And also, if you have training that you receive with another job that you're at, just send myself or Sarah a note to that effect. Just to take care of the annual training requirement. Yes.
Right now, we're planning to do ours at the end of the November meeting, so if someone needs to pick it up then.
Excellent.
They should be able to come.
What day is that? Can you give me a date?
First Thursday of the month.
First Thursday of November.
And my department's split evenly between the day and the evening class, so
All right, great.
3 at each.
So therefore, we'll make sure we'll hold both sessions then.
Correct.
Okay.
We're all done.
Okay. And in fact, you gave the paperwork back to Sarah,
Yep. November 2nd is the first Thursday.
November 2nd. Okay, thanks. Okay, pretty full agenda here. I want to start off with some administrative things first. Nicole claims I didn't send the minutes out to you guys. Have you seen the minutes or not?
I did. I reviewed them.
You did, okay. Any concerns, questions, corrections?
No.
Any motion to accept them?
Yes, I'll make that.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. As far as the vouchers, I've sent around the summary of the voucher sheets. Here's what we have for this month. Totaling $218,000 broken up between the general water and sewer funds. The general fund has the $110,000 from the paving and oil and stone work. It'll be reimbursed by CHIPS later on this year. But any questions or concerns about the vouchers? Can I get a motion to accept the vouchers?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, a couple of resolutions I want to go through first. I have submitted a request to the Department of Transportation to lower the speed limit on Franklin Avenue through the main business. And they said the first step is for us to approve, for the board to approve a resolution to submit to them as part of the initiation of that process. And so therefore, we've got a resolution here. Do I have a resolution here? I got the other
You
one.
should.
Do you guys have one?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yep.
Oh, good, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a resolution requesting the Department of Transportation to decrease the speed on Franklin Avenue. The Village of Millbrook Board of Trustees is requesting by way of resolution that the Department of Transportation decrease the speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour on Franklin Avenue, specifically from Most Physical Therapy to Cardinal Hayes School. I want to make that motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
We can go through the roll call.
Mayor Colby,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Doro,
Aye.
Trustee Herzog,
Aye.
Trustee Contino is absent, Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Okay, good. So if you'll get that signed, Sarah, and I'll submit that to DOT tomorrow.
No problem.
We'll get the ball rolling. Their first step will be to come out and do a survey of their own to assess the viability of doing that. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is a resolution that I need the board's approval to sign an agreement to transfer oversight of the Thorn Trust account from JP Morgan to the Bank of Millbrook. I sent you all an email about that.
Yeah.
Do we still have any questions about that?
Has Ian reviewed that?
Ian?
I did. So it's what they're asking you to do. They're changing co-trustees, and so the outgoing co-trustee submitted an accounting, and they're asking you to give your consent to the accounting, approve the informal accounting, not a judicial accounting, and then to sign a receipt, release, and refunding agreement. So acknowledging receipt of the money that you've received. Actually, it asks you to acknowledge transfer the money from the old co-trustee to the new co-trustee.
Right, from JP Morgan to Bank of Millbrook.
Right, and basically just give your blessing to that.
We actually have no accounting for this money because we've already transferred the deed as well as all the associated funds to the LLC. So it's way out of our hands. This is just, since we were on there before, they just want to dot I's and cross T's.
No need to have a financial professional review the accounting records.
No. Because none of the money is being held by
Yeah, I mean,
or of interest to the village.
Just a formality, right?
Right.
Seems like this one.
All right?
Thanks, Ian.
So basically, this is a resolution, whereas the Board of Trustees has reviewed the account associated with the release. I did that work with Ian. Whereas the Thorn Building is no longer owned by the village, therefore be it resolved as follows. The board agrees with the accounting records provided by JP Morgan, and the Board of Trustees authorizes Mayor Colby to sign the receipt, release, and refund agreement. I'll make that motion in a second.
I'll make it, I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Colby,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Doro,
Aye.
Trustee Herzog,
Aye.
and Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is a request, again, which I sent by email to the trustees as background by Fizzy Philly, who wants to participate in an open house being held by Core Collectives, which is a new business on Front Street. And the date is on 10/26. And so they came in and reviewed with myself and the chief enforcement officer requirements to do that. We asked them to get a one-day alcohol permit, which they were planning to do. And based on that, I'd like the board's approval for me to okay them holding this open house on the 26th. Caveats are that they would be going across the sidewalk from the business to the Fuzzy Philly, which is like a bus van converted. And in order to get access to the window, the bus would be parked the wrong way on Front Street, between Morones and Franklin Avenue. Okay, and it was going to be operating from 5 to 8 p.m. on the 26th. Any questions or comments about that?
They're going to add us as an short.
Oh, that's right. I gotta do that. I forgot. Is anyone here from the Fizzy Philly? You think they were gonna come? Yes.
Hi.
Okay. Request was made to add the Village of Millbrook.
Yeah, I can add you guys onto my policies, no problem. I have general liability and flipper, and then also the owner of the business took out that day of event policy as
Yes.
well.
That's Jesse. She owns Fizzy Philly. Okay. What's your last name, Jesse?
Smith.
Thank you. Okay, so, good catch, all right? So we'll do that, so based on that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Fizzy Phillies request to hold that open house event on the 26th.
I'll second.
Anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. Do I need to sign anything for you, or is that covered already by information?
No,
you
I
got?
just need a name and an address to add an additional insured onto my policy. So it would just be either like,
Well, can you use myself, the mayor?
yes, and I'll
Okay.
just need the address you want to use, whether that's the village hall or
Yeah, the Village Hall, which is 35
35 Merritt Avenue.
Merritt Avenue,
35 Merritt, Millbrook. Okay.
okay?
Yeah,
Okay, Jesse, we're all set then, thanks.
thank you.
All right, next then, every year we've got to submit to the State Controller's Office the annual financial report. I asked Karen to put together a report to review with us. So Karen, could you
Sure.
take off?
Okay, the financial condition of the village report is for the period June 1st, 2022 to May 31st, 2023. In addition to the financial activity report, I would like to present a theme that is pertinent to the times. Last year, it was stability gained through good, solid information, which in turn allows the mayor, village board, and us residents to make decisions that support, sustain, and promote the village. This year, it's safety and liquidity. Safety is the bank or other agent protecting the village's funds they are holding. Liquidity is our ability to access these funds to cover short-term financial obligations easily and quickly when needed. This requires a balance to invest, generate a profit, and provide liquidity. So we had some challenges and successes this year. And our first chart goes through the expenses. These are all the expenses, and it just kind of gives you a snapshot of what the percentage of expenses in the whole. So in the pie chart, some of the expenses in the general fund have increased due to utility costs, electric, heating, fuel, and gas. Insurances, the workers' comp, general liability, and medical insurance, those have gone up as well. The fire department contract, the Northern Dutchess, cancer, and the cancer policy, and the LoSAP. And Public Works, we had some road paving projects. So if you take a look, you can see that, the three biggest ones are the streets and the garage and snow removal, the fire, and the general.
And just a caveat, this is last year's results, right? We ended them in May.
Up to 5/31/2023.
5/31/2023, yeah.
Yes. So as we look at the tax levy and other revenues, the property tax remained under the 2% tax cap. The tax rate for 22-23 was $4.85 per thousand assessed value, and that went up 7 cents from the year before. The state aid and mortgage tax distribution by Dutchess County remained constant. I think better budget process on all of our parts helped with gauging expected revenues. Some lines exceeded expectations, and others just came under. So in November, the village partnered with New York Class, a New York cooperative liquid asset security systems, and to invest some of our funds. We did some of the reserve funds, But with rates continuing to rise, local government investment pools like New York Class continue to be an excellent investment option for cash management. This year's total interest earnings, just since November, when we started it, since November to May 31st, was $15,992. This was possible by maintaining a balance between the cash requirements of the operating funds and a balance to invest, generate a profit, and provide liquidity. This chart shows like the relationship between the budget, the revenues, and the expenses. And I think we stayed very much within our plan this year on all three. We're a little slightly higher with our revenues in the general fund, because I think the utilities sales tax and mortgage tax came in a little higher than we anticipated. But all in all, I think we're making good budgets, and we're meeting our revenue and expenditure.
Yeah, the scales don't do justice, but the general fund, we end up 90,000 above the expenses. That's to the good. And you can see water and sewer, we're pretty much neck and neck there.
Right, even though they did come in above the budget and what we planned.
Yeah.
We
The
did.
important thing is the revenue was above the expenses.
Right, which helps our fund balance grow.
Right.
So with that, I'll give you a little fund balance analysis. At the fiscal year end May 31st, the fund balance in the general fund was $663,022. And this is with the assumption of retaining 25% of our investments in securities and maintaining the capital account balances, which have mainly been converted into the investments in securities. I always like to say this every year, that it is important to note that fund balance is a net position and considers cash, receivables, payables, due to, due from amounts, pending grants, transfer to capital projects, and as well maintaining a healthy fund balance provides stability and safety.
Now, just one thing is that you just added this year, the third line from the top, this 25% investment in securities. What you're basically doing is from the fund balance, you're taking 25% and setting aside, right?
Right. I'm making the assumption that we're not going to liquidate all of our investments in security, that we're going to hold that as we would a reserve account or something. So it's just kind of being very conservative with the fund balance. Because in the last 5 or 6 years, we've worked very, very hard in all three funds to grow our fund balance to where it is.
Yep.
So
good.
the fund balance in the water, $194,612. And the fund balance in the sewer, $224,385. This next chart just gives you a little three-year comparison to see where, and I think we've pretty much grown. Like I said, if we take that 142, you see that line comes out further. So in all the funds, the general, water, and sewer, I think we're just really on a good trend.
I'll add the first year Karen and I did the report. I think we had a fund balance of like $4,000 for water and not very much more in sewer. So we really are doing great work.
We're in the right direction.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the total of this, the total for the A fund, so that basically puts you at $804,000. If I add in the 25% that she set aside with the basic fund balance, $805,000. In there is the $265,000 we set aside for the fire apparatus. All right. So if you take that out, you're at $540,000. That's basically our unallocated fund balance.
Correct.
Which is about 25% of our budget, which is where I wanted to be. And so I'm very satisfied with where we are right now. It's been a struggle to get there, but I think now we are. So we need to maintain that and protect it.
And I think the next step, as Sarah said, we worked really hard to get to here. So the next step is maybe for the board to establish a fund balance policy and maybe have like a sliding scale, like 15 to 25%, So then you know if you're below that 15%, then you need to kind of take a look at your revenues and expenses. If you're above that 25%, then maybe you take that amount and say, we're going to put it to a one-time purchase that doesn't require, hiring anybody, or it doesn't require a maintenance. It's just like a one-time purchase. So that can be our goal for next year.
All right, so as part of our, what do you call that first meeting we have?
Reorg.
The reorg meeting, I intend to bring to the board a fund balance policy. I need your help to put that together. We should solidify that.
Okay.
All right. It's good that we're not in a position where we can actually do that and mean something about it. So.
Correct.
All right, good.
So, all right.
I
So,
Yeah.
On the expense side, the 140,000 in long-term debt, that's just annual interest expense?
No,
That's
that's all debts. For example, the oil spill
Right.
is there. The loans we have on the vehicles is in there.
Is this a total?
That's not the total debt. That's what we.
That's just
That's what we
annual.
that's the
paid.
annual
expense.
Oh, yeah, that's the
correct.
annual.
Yeah,
That's annual.
and that's
Yeah.
just the general.
Yes, annual principal and interest payments. Yes.
Other than the oil spill and the vehicles, is there anything else in there? I don't think so.
In general, no,
No.
I don't think so.
Do you know the total offhand, Karen, of long-term debt, or?
No, but I can get that for you. We can get
Yeah,
that
we
for you.
can't. Actually, it's not as significant there as it is in the water fund, which
Right.
is still
No,
over $1
it's-
million
Yeah.
long-term debt. We have one bond and two bands, totaling $1.2 million. The bond is about halfway paid off.
Does
So-
long-term debt factor into your financial condition or not
Yes.
Yes.
Annually,
annually?
not the
Not the.
not the like the liability from the balance sheet end of it. It's just an annual
Yeah,
kind of snapshot.
got it.
Good question.
All right. So in conclusion, the village's finances are favorable, and there are challenges to consider: aging infrastructure and equipment, cost and availability of supplies, equipment, and services. Finding and maintaining reliable personnel has become kind of a new challenge for people. We've maintained adequate fund balances. We continue to monitor expenses and budget responsibly, and we're always looking for safe, viable sources of revenue, and then that all in turn stabilizes the village tax rate. So for 22-23, the year's challenge was increased cost of supplies and equipment. 23-24 year's charge will be adaptability, the quality of being able to adjust to new conditions, and the capacity to be modified for a new use or purpose.
Okay, thanks. Any questions about the report? Anybody in the audience have a question? Okay, these reports will be on the website. It's actually in the package already, I think, right?
Correct.
So if anyone has any future questions, don't hesitate to contact the office. All right, thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
And also Sarah, thank you. I know you worked together to put that together.
Yeah.
Okay, Don.
Alright. Automatic fire alarms, numbers were down a little bit at 9. EMS calls also down at 35. Out of the oddball sort of calls, we have the 1 carbon monoxide, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 3 tree and wires down, 1 car fire, and 1 fire. Which was a mutual aid one to LaGrange. NDP went out 35 times, or 72 went out 7 times, and out of the 35 times that NDP went out, 23 times Millbrook members were on the scene as well. Mutual aid for fire, we went 3 times. One was a pre-plan with Wasaig for a house right along the town line. Another was to LaGrange for fire, and another was to Sharon for a fire. We didn't have to call in mutual aid at all for a fire. EMS, we went out twice and received it twice. Both of those times were second calls in the district. And out out of the 7 times that 72 went to calls, 3 times they went to the hospital and transported. So,
It's really nice to have those volunteers still around doing their thing.
that they're still
Yep,
getting out.
good.
Nicole mentioned that it would be nice to kind of let you guys know what else we're doing for training. For
Good.
example, tomorrow night, we're holding a live fire training at Tedesco's, the Old Town Dump. We're going to do our car fire training there to get a live burn-in for the year, which is required. We're also doing our annual hazmat and carbon monoxide awareness training. That's just here. We're also going to be attempting to send a couple guys out to a seminar in Rhinebeck. That's set up by the Chiefs Council. There's a hazmat command class that a couple members have shown interest in, which is great that it's being offered here. Normally it's only offered at Montour Falls at the State Fire Academy, but they have offered it here. And they're doing a new online training that a couple members that have expressed interest in concerning battery emergencies or car fires, like Teslas and that sort of thing.
No, all right.
So, the only other stuff I have is the last bit of the air compressor setup has been ordered. It's the storage bottles for it. This way it holds the air that it creates, and we don't have to run the compressor nonstop until the bottles are filled.
Nice, all right.
And the new Chiefs vehicle that was ordered, it's going to be about 3 to 4 months before we see that, according to Tanner from Rugies. And then once he gets it, it'll be another couple weeks at the lighting place.
Okay, so we have some new news from Sarah. Put out the request for bank quotes, Sarah.
Okay. Actually, I have one from Big Over.
Oh, you just got one?
Well, no, it came in earlier, but
Okay, so I wasn't.
so I only have one
You
from
didn't
Bank of
got
Millbrook.
Okay,
And so they are doing a 5-year SIB at 4.25. So that's the only rate I got. Salisbury / NBT said they did not want to bid, and M&T did not respond.
okay.
So if you guys would like to go with Bank of Millbrook, you would like give me a motion.
Any questions or comments about that? That's the one that we got. 4.25%, 5 years. I can't tell you that, the breakup between interest and principal. What's the cost?
I don't have that rate in front of me, but it was approximately 76,000.
Yeah, 76.
So we would be paying a principal of $14,400 annually for 5 years, and then the added 4.25 interest. But
Yeah, okay.
I don't have that like all
14,000 what?
$14,400 annually
Principal.
for principal.
Yep.
Are bands long-term debt, Karen?
Bands?
No,
No, a bond, the statutory installment bond is long-term debt.
that's a bond.
But a
band
bond
is-
anticipation note is still short-term. The two that are out with the water is still short.
Yeah, the bad anticipation note is a 1-year loan that we will convert to a bond in the future. And what happens is, this allows you to pay interest only for the term of the ban, up to 7 years. Alright? So vehicles, things like this, 5 years, we go straight to a bond. Okay? I'll make a motion, we accept the Bank of Millbrook's offer of 4.25% for 5 years. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, thanks, we'll do that. That's hot off the presses. Any other questions for Don? Anyone in the audience have questions? Okay. Matt?
Happy to know that after the many years of the county coming and visiting us, we can take off our list of the panel boxes. All of them have
I
been
saw that.
fully done. We didn't budget it in this year's budget because it was over 3 years that my electrician was trying to get it all done
Okay.
and working. So that's why
I'll be excited to go through the audit motion next year to see what it looks like.
and well, that's coming up. I mean, that,
Oh, yeah, that's right. End of
so
this year.
you'll have to set a date, because the last date visit was October 18th,
I'll wait for them to come to me.
Okay,
We'll not rush it.
I agree, because every year they come up with new
Right.
things.
Congratulations, that's good.
And that's all I have.
Where are you guys with the converting that building in front of the town dump into a, training center, right?
So last I knew, Ted is still handling that because all the paperwork was in his name and it's a hassle to change it, so he was gonna continue with it.
Okay,
He was waiting for someone to come and certify that there's no asbestos or lead paint or anything like that in it. Because
I'll be surprised.
the dumpster companies, none of them will accept that kind of waste without having that certification
Yeah.
done prior.
Okay,
So I believe he was scheduling it, and then as soon as that is done, then we're gonna go forward with getting the dumpsters there, renting the machine and tearing it
tear it
down.
down. And that's part of it, you got a $200,000 CDBG to do this?
Yep.
Okay. What's your estimated cost to do the whole project?
I
Tear
don't
down
remember
and
off the top of my
no,
head, I
okay.
haven't looked at the paperwork a bit,
All right,
so.
so just keep me posted that you're staying within the budget. I want to know if you're going to exceed that. We should talk before.
Yep.
All right, great.
I believe the way Ted had it planned was everything would be in on that
Contained?
budget.
Okay,
There was even a little bit of wiggle room, I believe.
all right, good.
Well,
If it looks like it's going to go over, you need to bring it to us.
Yep.
All right. All right. Any questions for Matt?
Nope.
Kevin, any comments? No?
What about the lot behind Harry's? We're still looking.
Oh, okay, so last time I'd asked Don to put that on his list of things to,
Yeah,
an opportunity to do training at that lot.
Yeah, we took a look back there. It's going to be a little tricky to figure out something that we can train there and do, just because of the site conditions. It's not really. Yeah, all the wood chips and everything is not very stable ground.
All the wood
Chips.
wood chips. Oh,
Yep.
okay.
It kind of makes the ground not great for bringing apparatus in there and doing training. But Kevin and I will sit down and with other officers and try to figure out some sort of training that we can do.
All right, good. Yeah, we appreciate you doing that just for
Maybe
the
we
sake of
can-
us being able to write that off.
Yeah.
All right. Good question. Okay, good. Anything else? All right, thanks. Officer Witt.
Good evening. In front of you, you got the numbers for September of this year, significantly better than the numbers from August of this year. I would like to note that we were still battling some staffing issues in September, but the October outlook for coverage is significantly better, I believe, with only 3 or 4 open shifts completely for October, which is better than the previous 4 months where they were 15 to 20.
Okay.
So, and as those open shifts get closer, usually somebody comes and picks up at least a portion of it, if not the entire thing.
Good.
So, like I said, due to some staffing issues, some of our other things are down. Parking tickets 2, parking complaints 4, road hazards 4. We assisted other agencies, including the school district with all of their drills, their lockdown drills and safety drills. Assisted the town of Washington Court. We have 1 trespass, 2 criminal mischief, which seems to be juveniles after school. It's not really even criminal mischief, it's more of a littering. They're hanging out places they shouldn't be, and people are complaining about that.
Loitering.
What the general public would consider loitering, yes,
Okay.
not the New York State definition of it.
All right.
And in response to that, I've directed the patrols to go through the problem areas during that after school time from like 2 to 6, where it seems to be the biggest problem. Public service, a couple suspicious activities. Nothing outrageous there. We did 16 school checks and 32 foot patrols in the month of September. As you know, any questions on that report?
how's the court going with the new judge? I went to the VNT a day yesterday. It seemed to be a different kind of environment.
Judge Panko from Unionville is a little different justice style than we're accustomed to around here. I mean, for us, our participation in it hasn't changed, but he's a little tougher on some of the vehicle and traffic infractions than I've seen in some of the past. It's a tough question to answer without.
I have to say, I was encouraged by the way you ran.
Yeah.
I thought so. Those three.
So coming up in October, we have our firearms and our use of force. Again, thank you to the town of Washington for letting us use their dump facilities for our range. So we have that coming up. I've made several calls out to Lexipol, and I'm waiting to hear back from them to find out what the issue is with not being able to get off the ground here. So I'll keep you in the loop as soon as I hear back from them. So.
All right, let's talk tomorrow. I want to make a phone call because it's been
absolutely
6 weeks now since we signed the contract.
Absolutely.
Okay,
like
so let's talk tomorrow.
I reached out to I think 3 different offices over there today. So I was expecting to hear back from them earlier, but
okay, gotta get that going.
As you know, 7K250 had a serious engine malfunction and had that replaced at Ford under warranty. So that's it's back, it's up and running. 251 that the board had approved, its repair is out at the shop now getting its estimate together, a full once over. A new modem has been ordered for 251. The bracket has been ordered for the computer, the new computer, the computers we already have, to be installed into 251. Once that gets back, it'll also go to be detailed and deep cleaned, and we'll get that on the road, and state police will come and install all of the programs in both cars at one time.
Oh, good. All right.
So
I went with Officer Woods to pick up the new car, the car with the new engine, and I'm talking, the whole thing was replaced, like everything was replaced. It's just open the hood, it's just a brand new.
there's a little lag time on the bracket for the computer for 5.1 because the vehicle is so old.
Okay.
They no longer keep those models on.
Was that right?
Yeah.
But you can get it.
Yeah, it just instead of a 2-week turnaround, it's more likely to be 3 or 4. But by the time that's back from its repairs, it should be pretty close to just snowball it all together.
Okay.
Be good to go. And once we're back to 2 functioning vehicles, we will go back to a rotational basis, so we're not beating any one vehicle. Previously, we would rotate 1 car for the day shift, 1 for the night, and then the next week it would switch, and it seemed to do very well to keep the mileage equal on both of them, keep the wear and tear a little bit less. Both cars are going to need tires before the winter, but it's not a huge expense. It's somewhere right around, for both cars, would be right around $1,100-$1,200.
Okay.
And that's all on state bid. So that's all I guess we have this speed report.
Yep.
This was very interesting. The mayor and I decided to put this up on Church Street due to a couple of complaints we had last year, and then hot on the heels of this this completed run of this, we had another complaint from the public stating that people are driving wildly through there.
So this is on Church Street coming into the village past the high school?
Right at Mamsie Drive.
Right, okay.
So a little closer to the center of the village than we've had it in the past. We had nearly 9,000 cars pass through there in this 8-day period, of which 81% were 30 or below, 20% were 40 and below, and we have less than a 10%, 0.1% for anybody that was a medium risk, which is, oh no, the medium risk is 10 above, so
yeah.
less than 0.2% of all of the vehicles were going more than 10 miles an hour over. So there's a huge compliance in that area. And one of the vehicles, it's a lot less confusing for the public.
Yeah.
If you can post a sign at the entrance of the village that says village speed limit is 25. That's what they do up in Tivoli. Their entire speed limit is 25. But right now, for us to post something that says village speed limit is 25 except on Franklin Avenue, does.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I think Norton has that situation. And the fact is, we have control over all the roads outside of Franklin Avenue, so we could do that.
I mean, short of 9 Partners Lane, there's really not a road in the village proper that should support 30 miles an hour. And I know we had this discussion when we were going over the code. This is just my opinion. When we were going over the code, that was mulled over and considered. But with the state had previously told us they couldn't move the speed limit on Franklin less than 30. We thought that there might be too much confusion with it.
Really? I want to check that, because I think Norton has the exact same situation. I think they have a highway that goes through their main drive, and they have a speed limit for the rest of the village that's lower.
Right, but I'm just saying, if Franklin does change to 25, then it's
Sure.
easy, one big sign, the state will put up the sign, village speed
I
limit.
gotta tell you, we're gonna go through the process, we're gonna do what we can to try to force DOT to make that change. Past experience says they're gonna be very tough about approving it. Doesn't mean we're not gonna take the foot off the pedal, but still don't be surprised if we get shut down again. Which means we should consider this other thing in parallel. So let's think about it for the next month, and I'll go investigate Norton, see if there's any precedent there. And then we'll have a serious discussion with a possible vote for next meeting.
There's no state road through Tivoli, I guess.
No, that one's not, I believe it's a county road.
Interesting.
That would be a change to the law though, right? If we change the speed limit on all village roads to 25? It's gonna be the whole process we have to go through.
Correct. You do it
Okay.
by local law, you have to change your.
So we're going back to the VNT law and have to update that.
Correct.
I assume it would only be the one section, so it'd be less complicated than.
No, it shouldn't be. All right. All right, so that's on the agenda for next month. Good suggestion, I like that. Okay, anything else, Officer Witt? Yes, question?
Yes, I have a comment about if there's anything that could be done around the red light on Franklin Avenue. Whenever I'm sitting having coffee from the diner, I've seen cars, a truck coming down Church Street, making a right on a red light, which you can't do, but he never slowed down. If there was anybody there, it could have been serious. And Monday morning, a car was coming down Franklin, it was a red light, and he made a red turn, and he never looked. He just went and turned. And I don't know if there's anything that the village could do about that. And I'm also, I'm just saying, I'm just asking, okay, that there was one of the big, fertilizer trucks that come up from most around, and as soon as he made the turn, the light was yellow, okay? He never slowed down. I could hear the engine accelerating. Of course, by the time it got to the red light, it was red. He never slowed down. And, I didn't see him driving further down, but I'm sure he kept going faster and faster. And I'm just asking if there's anything that could be done to make it safer.
It's always the busiest intersection we have in the village, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If we observe unsafe operation through the intersection, we tend to take enforcement. I mean, that's, I I guess that's the end of it.
All right, well, I
If we see unsafe operation or violations, we do our best to take enforcement if it's safe enough for us to do so.
Sure, understand that.
Because sometimes the other vehicles
Mhm.
get involved also.
All right, what you can do there, just some extra eyes on that. I'm sure it's a problem, rolling road stops.
I mean, yeah, it's the,
I'm good
it's the
myself.
center of the village, we're usually
Yeah.
passing through it ourselves
Okay,
20 or 30 or 40 times in a day.
well, I can't deny there's a lot of activity that goes on there, and
Correct,
they can't make a right turn on red, it's after a stop, it's supposed to be.
correct.
Okay. All right, we'll see what we can do. Okay, anything else? Okay, Bob?
Alright, summer brush pickup is over. Leaf pickup began October 1st, goes until November 30th. We've already started doing leaves, picking up leaves. Also, what's not on the list here is we completed the pad for the generator at Bennett pumping station with the help of the town. I want to thank them. They supplied the truck to bring in the material. Also, Church Street and 9 partners have been roadside mowed. Again, we thank the town for their assistance in that. The new truck has been ordered. It is 6 to 8 months out. It's just
So
the
it's not
way.
gonna make this winter then? So,
Oh God, no.
no, okay,
No,
all right,
not even going to be close. Hopefully next winter.
okay,
It's just the way everything is right
all
now.
right.
We had catch basins
Hang
vacuumed
on,
out.
have we've gotten a loan for that? We're all set up there, or we have to go out to
No.
bid for that?
I don't have an amount or anything.
Oh, so you have to go for a bid for that, yeah?
Right, I would have to solicit bank bids, and
Yeah, so what does
Yeah.
it need to provide that to you to do that?
I would need the amount of the truck and everything that would come with it, lighting, lettering, all
options.
that. Yeah,
So do you have that list you can provide to us?
Not yet. He hasn't given me a
Oh,
submitted.
you're still there, oh, I see,
He
all right,
hasn't submitted me the final
I got it,
because
okay,
we made some adjustments to lower it. So I'm waiting for him to send back
all right.
I put a call into him today. We had catch basins vacuumed out, and in the process, found quite a few that needed to be repaired. So they were done in the same process. You'll see those around the village, 5 or 6 of them that we did. And the final step for the oil and stone process has been done. All the excess stone has been swept and vacuumed up.
Okay, any questions for Bob? So now we've got the bill we paid for the $112,000 that's in the vouchers. That was for both the paving of Reservoir as well as the oil and stone, Crystal Ferry. All right, so we have all those bills already, so we can now go to Chips and get refunded.
I can't until they cash the checks.
Oh, if they cash it, checks. Okay. All right. And Bob, where are we with trying to get Chips to cover the cost of the trimming of trees you did before?
They're not going to cover that.
Why not?
It's not a 10-year fix. The trees
The
are.
problem's not good for 10 years, right?
Right. It's not considered a
It's
10-year
not?
fix. No.
Okay. Let me ask you this. The bill for all this is about that's $110,000. There's $112,000 in the chips, but not all of that is just straight paving. Some of it is like winter, whatever.
Right.
Are we gonna be able to use all the avenues of chips to get fully refunded there? Maybe it's a question you should take offline and look at. See what I'm saying?
No.
There's like 4 categories for chips.
They all follow the same rules, though.
Yeah,
they're all-
typically if
Oh, they all
like,
follow the same rule?
They're
Yeah,
all
they
the
all
same
follow the
rules.
same.
All right.
yeah, like if I'm short one, then I'll just go for the other one that
Good, so
amount.
use the
So,
right wording to make sure that it all gets covered. All right, great.
Yeah.
Very good. trees trimming. So your list of trees to take down, you saw the tree on Booth Court. Mike?
Yes, I saw, we have a tree on Booth Court that needs to come down. It doesn't pose a danger at this point in terms of taking down power lines or coming, doing damage. It's not near a driveway or close enough to a road to do anything. And we have another tree that a request was made just day before yesterday to possibly take it down on Weatherford Lane. And I've looked at that tree and it's dead, but I'm not sure that it's ours. We have to measure to see if it's actually 25 feet from the center of the road. So those are the only two that are currently.
We have a request to trim the tree that's hanging over the gazebo, right?
At this point, I thought that
Our tree?
it's our
tree.
tree, but I think when you and I were there, we had told the person who had made the request that when we trim trees, we would do that, and it wouldn't necessarily be now.
Okay,
It
I
might
see.
be-
All right.
It might be next spring when we see what we have in the budget for tree trimming and see if we have the funds. to
What's left
do
over.
What's left over. That's part of the reason why the one on Booth Court and the one on Weatherford are not immediately, being pegged to be removed. And also we have to have, the one on Booth Court was reviewed by everyone on the Shade Tree Commission. The one that we got day before yesterday as a request, nobody's looked at it except for me. So,
Okay, fine. So it's a fresh one.
Yeah.
There's only $6,000 left in the budget for trees for the rest of this year, so.
Tree removal.
For tree removal, right,
Okay.
yes.
What about the business district, overhang trees?
So it's $10,000 for that, yeah. That's still
what we're talking
TBD.
about,
It doesn't fit in the budget right now.
We have not trimmed the trees along Franklin Avenue, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, for about 7 to 8 years.
About 8, I think it's 8 now.
Okay.
8 years.
So that's,
So it's well overdue.
yeah, so that's something we'll have to see where the budget is come April, and when we would then have the ability to say, okay, that's $4,000 more than what's allocated in the budget, but at that point, there may be other areas that we could be able to take $4,000 from.
Right, we'll see how the budget's doing, really close to the end of the fiscal year, and we can decide whether we can move some money around.
Yeah, because things like that, we should take care of before there's damage to a vehicle or something.
I mean, I would prefer we
Did it
focus
before.
on that than a tree that's not dangerous yet.
Right.
You know, I mean, that just seems.
Well, for the time being, I'd like to save the money for storm damage that could happen between now and the end of this fiscal year.
Right.
And then we'll see at the end, we'll get
What I'm
close.
saying, before we take down a tree that's not a danger.
Oh, not a danger, yeah.
You know, I mean, I feel like business
We'll do something
district
better.
deserves some
Yeah.
attention.
Which is why I said we're putting off the one on Booth Court and the one.
Mhm.
Oh, you are?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, I missed
Oh,
that,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
we're not taking those down as of now,
Got
we're looking to do that in the spring or, later on.
So that, the trimming of the trees along Franklin, as well as the grinding the sidewalks on Franklin is still things that we'd like to be able to do. We don't have it in the budget, so we'll keep an eye out for opportunities to be able to do those things. To tell you the truth, I'd like to get the concrete work done first before we go trim the trees. Get that project done first and then come back and do the trees.
Right.
It's kind of like that's what I'm looking at. Again, we need the budget to give us some avenues of relief. Okay, any other questions for Bob? All right, thank you. Scott?
All right. On the water side, all maintenance and sampling for the month was performed. We read all the water meters. Bills should be going out shortly. Replaced a curb valve on Route 44. Repaired a leaking service line on the county house. And we also replaced one more water meter.
All right. Questions for Scott on water? This chart here is troubling to me. So here's the, oh, Mike, go.
Yeah, I noticed on the way walking Reservoir, that the last house just before the town hall had a water valve right there on the property that was extremely muddy. It looked as though it had, there's been some repair or something. Any work done on that?
Yeah, we had to repair a water leak there.
Okay.
Where was it at?
On Reservoir.
Reservoir? Okay.
Yeah, that's where the cones are, right? Okay, but that's been fixed. It isn't.
Correct.
So we're just waiting for the ground to, okay.
Dry
All
out,
right.
maybe?
Someday. Someday.
Not this spring.
I have a concern with this chart here. Last year was real dry. If you look at fiscal year, June through September, last year, versus June through September this year, when I eyeball the chart, we're like 25% down in volume, water used, which means our water and sewer revenue is going to be down.
10 million gallon difference.
10 million gallons?
Yeah, I knew you'd ask the question, so I did my homework. Yeah. As year to date, that is. Last year, from January to September, which is where we're at, we produced 52 million gallons. This year, it's 41.
Okay. So that's where I get concerned, Karen, about the revenue, whether we're going to actually make our budget for water and sewer for this year.
Yep, we definitely need to keep,
Now,
we need to watch
that's
it.
not consumption.
I understand.
That's production.
But
right?
can I bridge a correlation? If the amount of water you generated is down 25%, does that mean?
Not necessarily, considering we fixed water leaks.
So if you fix water leaks, you could have
And
more
some of them
efficient.
could have been leaking last year. We just, like that water main up on Route 44 that you saw.
Yeah.
Right? I would venture to guess that's been leaking for quite a while.
Is that right?
Probably back into last year. A crack that big just doesn't happen.
Okay.
You know? And with the ground being dry last year, water's going to find its way to go. And then, now it's the ground becoming saturated, water's going to come to the surface. So, is there some correlation? Yeah, but some of that's water leaks too that have been fixed.
All right, well, that's good to know. All right, so anyway, I've got nothing to react with yet because we just had a second going out now. When the data starts coming in, I want to make sure we're reacting soon as opposed to later. I don't want to wait until the next budget to find out we're tens of thousands of dollars short. We should have been considering raising the rates early on. So just a heads up to you.
Would you like me to get what we built out these first two buildings for you?
I'm sorry?
Would you like me to get you the numbers the usage that we've built out?
Well, I should now come to the office.
We do have it.
Oh, you have that?
We use we have a chart for it. We just accrued we accrued some of June just because it was a regular quarter. So that's why it doesn't appear as though that usage.
Yeah, you're always scared with the numbers in here, but that's okay. I'll wait.
Right,
Yeah.
because we're going to just have our first full quarterly billing here. But yeah, maybe January
The other thing
we'll take a look at it.
to remember, and this is something I want to talk about, but Greenbrier, right? They're shut down.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have the numbers. I could get them from Dawn, but I know they used a significant amount of water.
Okay.
So you're not going to have that. I don't even know if they're going to pay.
They all paid up? Yeah, that was my next question.
I'd have to ask Dawn, to be honest with you.
History says they're not.
If memory serves me, they're not. No.
They typically ran like a debt of like $4,000. And we'd have to go back to them and get them on a payment plan, and they would do it for a couple quarters, and then we had to go back again. It was a
Yeah, I don't know.
job.
I don't know what the status is of that.
That's a good question.
I would like to shut their water off because if we get into winter, which is close, in fact, the one curve box I know doesn't work, and I went to do it the other day, and it just spins in a circle, so we have to repair that. They have two services there, but I would like to shut them off to prevent any problems.
I think you should.
Are they officially closed now? I mean, they're not operational at all?
There's nothing there.
No one's there.
Yeah.
Because the other issue, which
All wrong.
we can get to with the
Yeah.
sewer,
Oh, yeah.
but as you know, they had their septic done and all that over
Yep.
years. So when we've had some issues with the rain, Mike and I went out looking for stuff, and that pumping station, there was water coming from the building, and there's nobody in there,
It's all right, okay,
and that just goes into the sewer.
all right.
I'll work on getting that shut down.
I'll follow with Dawn on the payments and see what's going on there, that's a good question.
But again, going back, so I know they were, I don't want to say significant user, but they used a large amount of water. So that's going to cut into.
I mean, just in general, we had a very dry summer last year, we had a very wet summer this year.
Right.
And I'm just worried that the money's not gonna come in, so.
People are using, you're not watering outside. You
No,
don't need to.
exactly.
No one's watering outside.
Right.
You know, so
That's right.
Probably not.
You're still running the meter even if you're using your water, like, outdoor.
Okay, so we'll keep
Just
an eye
not
on
using
it.
your septic.
All right, and we'll go to sewer.
All right. So September we had all maintenance and sampling for the month was done. We flushed over 9,400 feet of sewer main, which is just under 25% of the system, and rebuilt one manhole on Front Street right outside of the firehouse.
Are these making the permit limit?
Yes.
So the flows were up this month?
Well, we did have 13 inches of rain.
Oh, yeah, of course.
On top of 7 in August
Right.
and 14 in July, so it's almost 3 feet in 3 months. It's pretty significant.
It is.
That's all people's sump pumps.
Among other things, there's got to be something more than sump pumps, but I'm not sure what. I've been looking.
Okay, any questions for Scott for sewer?
Where else would you think it could be getting into? Or like, where could it be? Do you have any ideas or just?
There's somebody dumping last year that we thought down
That turned out to be not that. Well, they were, but it was from Cardinal Hayes because they had a problem with their system, and they were just. But their issue was they were putting it in too fast. So we had worked that out with them, and they've got their stuff fixed finally. Where it would be is a good question. I believe there's a significant amount from South Millbrook. Just finding it. One thought is from the old college.
Before or after the pump station?
Well, we would be before it, going
Or
out.
south.
Yeah.
Or
So you're coming from Bennett College, you're coming up from Halcyon and Maple Hill Drive, all those
Maple
places.
Hill,
Yeah.
yeah, all the way out there, yeah.
County House Road.
Yeah. I pulled the manhole which is out by Bennett, which takes from the condos and from all South Millbrook, combines both. And there was a significant amount from what I would say would be South Millbrook, not from the condos. Where that's coming from. What I would like to do next year, next fiscal year, and I'll put it in the budget, is to do smoke testing out there, because when we did it years ago, it was just in the village. We didn't do it out in South Millbrook.
Okay,
That would help.
but that goes all the way out to the old infirmary, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a pump station out there.
Oh, yeah.
With all the gravity lines would be at Halcyon, Maple Hill, and in front of the old college. And anything that used, because all those buildings that got torn down, there's running ideas of something that maybe something's there that we don't know that's getting in.
So, go
Just
back to the water.
speculation.
You had a water main break, I thought, up on County House Road, or was it this thing here, just this?
That was the service line.
That's just a service line?
Yep.
Okay.
It was the service line at the connection to the main.
Oh, so you just shut the water down because of that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, yeah.
all right, got it. All right, any other questions for Scott? Let me tell you, I had a meeting with the CEO of Delaware because we submitted applications to try to get funding for the sewer plant upgrade, the $7.3 million project we're talking about. And they submitted a VIA grant. We submitted a WQIP grant, which is another avenue to get money. But that one was rejected. And it turned out, I think Delaware owns a lot of responsibility for why it was rejected. Which is why I wanted to speak to the CEO about that. And while meeting him, we went through some of the numbers as far as, how eligible will the Village of Millbrook be to get some funding. He said, by the way, they'd also submitted our proposal for a bipartisan infrastructure law grant, a BIL, which I wasn't aware of. And so we're waiting now for November. We should hear back whether we've received any money grant from those two funds. One of the things they talked about was eligibility, given what we pay today for charges for water and sewer. And here's the data that they provided. And this is something I'm going to go back and verify, but they said we are, in the Village of Millbrook, are eligible because we are below the median household income is like $60,000, which is below the 80% cut for the area we're included, which is Dutchess, Hudson Valley, all the way down to Westchester. So we fit there. But the second criteria to look at is that we should be paying up to 2% of the median household income for sewer service and up to 2.5% household income for water. So 2% of 60,000 is like $1,200 is what we should be paying for sewer service. It's a median value they look at. The actual data that we have for the village is a median of $288 versus $1,200. And likewise for water, it's like $350 is the median price that our customers pay for water for the year versus this is annual. This is annual. No. And the problem is we have a lot of people that are in the I'm going to say less than $100. Single people living in a single room apartment kind of thing, which really affects our median statistics. And so not that we got to do anything about it, other than to say the recommendation was a lot of other municipalities have this basic price you pay just to be connected. It's like a standard fee up front, akin to what we do for the SBA, the Sewer Benefit Assessment. And so something to discuss when we get to the budget next year. Just lets you tell you that criteria to be accepted for these grants, this category, we're not in good shape because we do charge so little for both water and sewer. And actually, they're going to go check with me. They claimed off the top of their head that we were one of the lowest charging municipalities they were aware of in the state. So, not to react, it suggests that maybe we need some kind of a long-term plan to improve the rates we're charging, to first gather the kind of resources, the savings we can to make these capital improvements, but also to buffer our case to get these grants from the state.
Is that the reason or a reason?
No, that is a potential reason. So we haven't heard back yet. But when they looked at the data, they said, this is a flag. All right? And just to give you a heads up to that, something we're going to look at. And again, not for now, this is for the next budget season. We have to go and seriously look at what our future outlook is for charges for water and sewer for our customers. All right?
I get that. The only qualifier I'd say with that is when 10 years ago, our rate per 1,000 gallons was somewhere between $2 and $3. Our rate per gallon for 1,000 gallons now is close to $8.
$7.50 for water, $9 for sewer.
Right. So we have essentially almost tripled the rate in the last 10 years, and I don't think the point of what we should be doing is trying to charge everybody back to the Stone Age in terms of that much more for water. We've always been one of the kindest in terms of what people have paid for water and sewer for a long time. But we've also increased that significantly just to pay for our projects.
Sure.
The money we've put out in terms of debt is between $2 and $3 million in the last 10 years just for the water program to make the filtration building and everything else. But we haven't gone out and tried to tax the heck out of the people for the water.
No, we're trying to do minimum requirements, but all I'm saying is that in order for us to be eligible for these grants, which is a long-term solution that we need, we gotta be looking at what the rates are we're charging.
Yeah.
They showed us for ROI.
One of the other things they have to take into account, though, is that you have a significant amount of people in Millbrook that are renters, okay? Not owners, renters. And, you know, how much can you expect someone who has the income to have to rent something to pay in additional fees for water and sewer? So that comes down to median salary. There should be a fairer way to be able to look at that, as opposed to saying, well, we have all these people who own houses, but we don't. That's not our situation. We have a significant amount of renters.
Sure.
People who are in, as you just pointed out, a one-room apartment above a store or whatever. So.
That's something to chew on as we get towards the budget next spring.
So Tim,
Yes.
Rhinebeck is at $7 per 1,000 gallons for water and $13.50 per 1,000 for sewer.
Only 7 for water, huh? But $13.50 for sewer?
But we're gonna be having the same conversation you guys are having.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I asked John Bruce to give me some of the data that they've got, just so we can do some comparisons to similar kind of municipalities. So he promised to do that. Okay, no questions, let's move on. Sarah?
Okay, building department. We only issued 4 building permits and 3 municipal searches. So the total fees collected was $730 for the month of September. And we did issue 2 refunds for escrow projects that were incurred because of planning board projects, people's planning board projects. And that's pretty much all I have for building department. As far as treasurer for the month of September, I will say, just side note, the Bank of Millbrook has changed their internet software, and it is like 1,000% better. It's so much better. Truly appreciate it. But it was kind of a pain because they did like a statement for from August
1st to the 22nd.
Yeah, to they weren't even all the same. Like August 4th to September 13th, and then it was kind of a pain to get this report because of that. But the numbers are there, and we're good. And I don't really have anything significant in the bank. New York class is doing well.
New York class, okay.
Yep. So, all the figures are there, and the monthly yield was 5.22%. And
you're doing a good job of keeping all the money in there.
Yes,
$1 million, that's good.
Yes, we did move. I think it was July. We did move some money from tax, and we moved it into New York class just to gain some more interest on that. So,
okay, great.
So far, we haven't had to tap into that. So we're just gonna keep it there until we need it. So that's about all I have for the bank.
Just want to know your last day to collect taxes out the bottom there.
Yep, I'm gonna attended NICOM conference. I focused mostly on the financial classes. Karen also went too. You guys saw the AFR presentation, and then a lot of community day prep. Board community day.
Thank you for that.
And last day to collect taxes is October 31st. So if you haven't paid, we will collect that, and then who doesn't or who hasn't paid will be turned over to the county. And I think I only have 13 properties that haven't paid yet. So
okay.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Very good
for this year. So that's all I have.
Questions for the treasurer? Questions for the audience? No? Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, the STR code. Deputy Mayor.
Okay, so I think we've had 2 productive last 2 board meetings where we've gotten a lot of feedback. We've heard from a lot of different people and constituencies on this. and myself and with the mayor's help and working behind the scenes to make some changes that hopefully will placate some of the operators, and we're trying to meet everyone kind of halfway on this. As such, this chart details the latest draft in the middle column here, and I'll highlight some of the things that that I heard feedback on. First, the lottery system that was in the original proposal, we have removed that in favor of a first come, first serve. If there's more than 15 applications, there would be a wait list for anything additional than that. The original proposal had a total of 6 renters per short-term rental. We've increased that to 8, or 2 per bedroom. And if you're not on village sewer, whatever the Department of Health has approved you for your septic, and that does not include children under 5. In terms of, we originally proposed having a maximum amount of rental days per year, which is something that a lot of municipalities have gone in that direction. We have removed that, so there's no annual maximum. We've removed the provision where you can only have 1 rental per week, and we've removed the provision where adjacent lots cannot be short-term rentals. To make up for that, we've decreased the maximum number of STRs from 20 to 15. We've reduced the response time to 1 hour from 2 hours. And specifically for current STRs that are not operated by the primary resident, we have increased the grace period from 6 months to 2 years. There'll be no changes on the permit fee at this point. The annual inspection, fines for non-compliance, as well as we're keeping it must be the primary residence only of the operator.
So before we open up for public comment, can I just get feedback from the trustees? I know that you may not have seen this too much in advance, so do you have any questions or comments with what's proposed here?
I just had one question, and that was concerning the primary residence only. There was discussion about the fact that there are, I think, and please correct me if I have my numbers wrong, 11 to 13 current short-term rentals that are in operation right now.
14.
14? Okay, good. 14. And out of the 14, I think we came up with 2 that are not owner-occupied at this point.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell without talking to every single person, because until we get the data from the county through this Granicus grant system, it's hard to know.
Okay. Well, the reason I brought it up is I feel strongly that it should be primary residence, but I'm looking for a way for people who have established something other than a primary residence and have been doing it for a number of years with a manager without any complaints and without any problems to possibly be grandfathered into this, so that those people would not be excluded.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's legal, if it's practical, but I think there have been some from the previous testimonies we got here at the public meeting that there were a few people who were in that situation, and they seem to be well managed, and from what we could get in terms of history, that there was not a history with that particular property long term. So that's the only thing that I think I'd like to maybe have further discussion on, to see if there's some way that people who already are operating without the primary residence clause be given some kind of consideration to potentially keep what they have for now. But that's...
So I guess 2 things on that. So part of the compromise that we've come up with is increasing the grace period from 6 months to 2 years. It's not permanent, obviously. So that was one thing we talked about. And I've talked to and been working with a lot of people behind the scenes on this, in addition to the mayor, planning experts, land use experts, environmental experts. And in terms of the village zoning code, there's generally a catch-all in municipal zoning codes where it says something like, anything not expressly permitted in this section is prohibited. Meaning, and we do have that in our zoning code, meaning short-term rentals are currently operating outside of the bounds of our zoning code. So we can't really, it's hard to grandfather something in that is currently not isn't legal anyway. Understood on like lack thereof or a few complaints for certain properties, but that's just my initial feedback. I mean, I think we all want to like meet people that have been doing this in the right way, in the middle somewhere, and that's what I've tried to do on this latest draft. It's not done yet. We're not going to vote on it tonight, but we're trying to come up with a solution that pleases everyone, but it's not going to please everyone probably in the end.
Well, you're never gonna get something that everyone's gonna say, that's it,
No.
you know, we hit the silver bullet, but.
So I was also on the mindset of the grandfather clause before, but based on this discussion and all the data I've seen from other municipalities, I'm more back on this primary residence requirement. And extending the time period required to get there. I think that's a reasonable trade-off.
Is there allowance for like variances?
Say again?
Is there allowance for like a variance or something like that down the road?
It's perfectly within the applicant's right to seek a variance if they are denied. So that's an avenue for people.
If they would like another avenue, I guess.
Yeah, the only thing I would caution to the ZBA is if you set a variance, you set a precedent.
Yeah.
And so you can quickly just gut the law
Yeah.
if you start down that path.
Exactly.
And so again, it's their call, it's not really even under our purview. I certainly would caution them to be considerate of that. But again, like the mayor said, that's an avenue that there are could pursue. So, anything else about the proposal, the elements and changes from prior to what we were discussing? Open up for public comment. All right, so as we said before, the mayor just said we don't have the actual proposal yet. What we hope to do is, based on the discussion tonight, especially the feedback from the board members, I think we need to follow up with Trustee Contino. She's away for a week.
Oh, sure.
Vacation, but I think we should also give her input as well. I would like us to go down a path of bringing to the next board meeting a resolution of introduction with the proposal as stated here, which would announce a public hearing for the December meeting. Okay, is the path I'd like to go down.
That sounds good.
We can have a public comments today, public comments next meeting, and of course, December then would be the public hearing, the official, after which we would take a vote. So with that, I'll open up the floor for public comments. Everyone just come forward, and I know this is all fresh because one thing the deputy mayor has been working with Heather from DC Planning to get her inputs on it as a first pass to go into DC Planning.
Not in her professional capacity.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yes.
Which was, I think, very helpful. It still means that we need to go to DC Planning at some point.
Correct.
When actually do you do that?
We can do it. We should do it soon. Once we all agree, and we should do it then.
Okay, fine. All right, good.
You could do it after you introduce it. By law, the county gets 30 days to make comment. They typically, especially if you need it sooner, they'll usually accommodate.
All right, fine. So we can do it after we do the resolution introduction next month.
Yeah.
It's before the public hearing.
Before the public hearing, again, generally I just try to do it so that there's going to be 30 days or close to 30 days between introducing and enacting the local law.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be prepared, I suppose, for any changes that they might have.
Yeah, fine.
For that reason,
In which case we reset the clock, right, for the resolution introduction followed by the public hearing.
You could, provide it to them once the board agrees on it and see what the comments are, and then that way you could
Give early feedback.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then before you introduce it, so that you don't have to go through that process again.
So what about after tonight's discussion? Peter, that you put the proposal together and send it to him? Why isn't that good enough if that's what you want to bring to the resolution introduction next month?
Sure.
Okay, let's try that.
Next week.
Yeah,
It's,
no, fine. That's fine. Okay, with that, let's open up the floor for public comment. Please come forward. Just so you know the camera, you can just stand up like by the chair, or you can sit in the chair right there.
I don't want to be on the camera.
You don't want to be in the camera?
Not particularly.
Oh, okay.
I've spent a day doing house stuff. I'm not really a
Okay.
camera.
Just introduce yourself.
My name's Alexandra, and I just first had a question just to clarify. You talked about 15 people, no longer being a lottery, being first come, first served, right? Now my question is, once those 15 have had their turn, do they have to wait till other first come, first serves for the next round? Because it seems like it wouldn't be fair, like say, I don't know, just make it simple, there's 30 people in town who would really like to have, their spare bedroom, make a little bit of money, which is, owner operated, you're at home, and you're small. But if 15 people have it, but those same 15 people are in again next time, then what happens if there's a couple other people who'd like a turn? I mean, that should be considered, I think, just for fair is fair. Like, if it's not going to be a lotto, it's going to be first come, first served. Next time, those people can't be first served, because then people are knocked out. And Airbnb was originally, the concept was, you had your house, you had a spare room, you made some money, and the reason it was able to fly under the radar for so long was in everyone's head. You thought to yourself, oh, it's an Airbnb. That's just like their back bedroom, someone's on their couch, that kind of a thing. It was like low key, it was almost like having, if your neighbor had a house guest, you don't mind. But if your neighbor left town and, somebody came there to party, you're gonna be really upset because, nobody wants to live next to the party house, which, has happened in the town. And that wasn't really fun.
Or a full-time hotel.
Well, or a full-time hotel. I mean, if you were going to, so anybody, if you were going to look at a little house and you were raising a family or something, or maybe you were older, you just want to be in a neighborhood, and the realtor says, I've got this adorable home for you to see. They bring you to the house, and they're like, oh, by the way, we didn't mention, because I didn't want to, get you upset or anything, but next door's a hotel. It's going to change your perception, because you're thinking you're moving into a cute little neighborhood, you get to know your neighbor, which with the proposal you're doing, that'll still be intact, because you will get to know your neighbor. They live there, some people come in and out, but it's more like a house guest. If no one's there, now you're living next to a hotel, which you didn't bargain for when you moved in. Because, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but you might change your mind. I don't know if I want to live in a cute little house with, a steady stream of strangers coming through. I might want to live in a little house where, little Tommy gets to be friends with Timmy next door.
Okay, let's go to your first question, which was.
So that's the 15
how does the
day.
wait list work? You describe how the
And
wait
I'm
list
not
works.
asking for you to answer that if you haven't put thought into it. I'm just saying that.
No, we have, and it's a good question. And, originally that's why I kind of liked the lottery idea, because it was sort of random and it gave.
Rhinebeck did a lottery, didn't they?
That's where I got the idea from.
But you should still be off of it for the lottery the next year. At least until the people who didn't get a turn have had a turn.
I think it's a
Just
good
for
point
fair.
that we've been trying to figure out a solution, and we still have some more work to do on how exactly the wait list would work. I think the lottery system kind of made sense for all the
Either one,
reasons
I mean,
you said.
Yours made sense too.
Well, here's why I don't agree with the lotteries, because a couple things. One of them is, I think the people who have a permit now ought to have first dibs to get a
I think so
permit
too.
again.
Maybe in following years you do a lottery.
Well, actually, and the second problem is with the lottery, it happens all at once, right? Every 2 years you have everybody back in the pool again.
Well, what if you stagger
Whereas
it?
with the wait list, we can stagger them out. Okay?
Beyond-
And what I'm thinking about there is the people we have hired to do the inspections can't be hit with, doing 15 inspections right now to get permits approved. We want to spread those out. And the wait list allows us to spread that time frame out, I think. That was the idea. Yeah. Well,
I think also you have to give consideration to the fact that the people who are currently doing this have already made a financial investment to counting on being able to do it for a significant amount of time. So if you're saying, well, I'm gonna do $40,000 worth of improvements in my house so that I can be an owner occupied, provide separate areas for guests, and then 2 years later you say, well, now you're back in the lottery and that money that you spent, we're gonna give someone else a chance instead. That doesn't encourage.
But you're still undermining the idea.
Bad investments in the past.
That's true.
It was a good investment.
There's a lot of towns where people, thought they'd be clever and bought, take like their inherited house or go buy a house and rent it out all the time, and the laws changed. I mean, you can't do that to a town because eventually it will undermine the town.
No, I agree.
If you get a slump, suddenly what are you going to have? Empty houses?
Well, what I'm saying is, if you have a maximum of 15 STRs in the town, in a village, period, and that's all that can be there, and you've got 12 or 13 already established, and then you say, well, after 2 years, that's only a 2-year period, then you can apply, but it's going to be a lottery system, and you may or may not get use of that facility again.
The lottery system you're not using.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if someone says, I've got a situation like this on my street, where there's someone who has an apartment and saying, I'm not doing this anymore. She's getting older, does not want any part of that, so she will say, I don't want to do it anymore, there's a new spot that becomes available. Then it's reasonable to have some kind of a mechanism where someone new can get a shot at being able to take it over. And, but as long as we're going to have a maximum, I really don't want to see a lottery system where you roll the dice every 2 years and you start from scratch.
Well, maybe have an overflow. Instead of having only 15, maybe have it be either 10 or something, but then have an overflow of like an additional 10, but only for people who have, like, say, a single bedroom that they rent. Not like 2 or 3 guests at a time, because I noticed you had a thing about the maximum guests. If you had a secondary license for people who only had like a very small number of space, it's a 1 bedroom that they're renting out or something.
Secondary license,
well, no, I mean a secondary spot, not a secondary licensure.
There's a lot of different approaches to this,
because you're worried about grandfathering people in, but if there's 15, I don't know what the numbers are in town now anyway. Was that based?
The reason why we made it 15, to your point, and we currently have 14, let's say, and there might even be less than that. Hopefully there's not a huge influx in the next few years, so I hope to really never get to the wait list.
Oh, I see what you mean.
That's sort of
that would be ideal.
Ideal, definitely. And then the grace period means that someone who's operating not by these rules gets 2
only the
years.
primary resident requirement. Everything else, once they apply, they will have to abide by these rules.
But no exceptions, right?
What do you mean by primary resident? You have to live there?
You have to live there 6 months plus 1 day.
6 months plus 1 day.
So more than half the
So
year.
if you haven't lived there in 30 years, then
well, that's
you
past
don't qualify for
That's passed. No, we're saying, in other words, you've got to be an active resident for 6 months and a day, year after year after year.
So you're still talking
Even
about
if the home's
renting out the
even
whole.
if the home's been in the family for 90 years, but they have not been a resident and are not a resident.
No, they have to be a resident. They have to be somebody who's on the property. That's
6 months and 1 day.
But one question, because that still means that you're talking about having the renters in, but no owner present at the time that the renters are there.
You have to have an hour response time.
So yeah, if you're to your point, if it's like if you're just renting out your room, that's hosted. If you're renting out your entire house, that's unhosted. And if it's unhosted, you have to have a local agent that's able to respond to any issues or complaints within 1 hour. So someone kind of hyper local that's on the ground to deal with any issues from neighbors.
So how do you know if these people are actually living there for 6 months and 1 day?
There's various document requirements that we'll hopefully put in.
We'll follow the IRS requirements regarding proof of ownership.
Could be
So it has to be your primary residence.
utility bill, your license,
proof of residence.
proof of residence, a license, utility bill.
Which happens all the time.
Exactly.
People want paid for
Well,
it.
it's easy to put your license in a residence that you just choose. You can just choose whatever you
No,
want.
we'll work on that.
And they'll have to attest to that, meaning they
Right.
can't, if they lie about it and we find out later, that would be a violation.
Because I know that.
Cause a moving problem.
And don't forget, this also calls for an annual inspection, okay? So that somebody's gonna be coming in and
What
looking
kind
at
of things would you be inspecting for?
fire
Things
safety.
like dry vents blowing directly into your neighbor's property.
No, we're looking to make sure that the place is safe, that it's well maintained, that everything is to a reasonable standard of cleanliness
Well,
and.
we'll talk about fire extinguishers, smoke detectors, those kind of things.
So basic
That's
safety
what I'm talking about,
and
it's a
everything.
building inspector question, that's different. That's independent of an SDR now.
But it's not particularly, really, is it? Because
Yeah, it is.
this is okay, we'll agree to disagree. But nevertheless, if somebody's perpetually renting out a house and continually rotating laundry through the house and their dry vent is right on my property line and blowing it straight into my yard, and I'm particularly against phthalates, to be honest, and it's just pumping my yard full of phthalates, it kills my plants, and it's contaminating my air. That is perfectly relevant to this situation because
It's
there are
relevant
not-
to having a neighbor
talking
that's causing you consternation. You should come
It's
to
a problem.
come speak to the building inspector. We'll talk
That's
about
building code, that's not.
Yeah.
Are you in the village? I
Yes.
just want to make sure, like,
Direct
direct
next
you.
door to an Airbnb.
Okay, I just want to make sure you go to the right place.
All right, so
so-
let's move on. Anyone else have one to say?
So the last thing that I was trying to get to before we all sidetracked off of that. So if it is going to be the, owner occupied, the 6 months and a day.
Primary residence.
Yeah, owner residence. So there's just gonna be, that's across the board and there's no exceptions.
As of right now, we don't have any exceptions.
Awesome, because the first thing that Rhinebeck, just to use them as an example, agreed on was above all else, there was going to be no grandfathering, no exceptions, nothing where somebody gets special treatment, or they're friends with the board, or they have some, pals around town or something, because that's not fair.
Yeah, the problem with that is it's a string, once you start pulling before you know it.
Yeah, because it sets a precedent, because if one person gets an
Right.
exception, then why can't this person on this corner have an exception, and why can't this person who maybe their grandmother died yesterday, now they want to put an Airbnb, they're number 16 on the list, and my family's been here, I want my Airbnb too, and you're like, well, now we've got 16 people, so no exceptions. I think that's why Rhinebeck came up with that.
That's why we put a law in place.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Anyone
you for
else?
your time.
Excellent. I'm here mostly to listen.
No.
I agree with Mike Herzog about if you have a property manager. I'm curious also if you were to buy the property next door to you so that you share a lot line, would that fall under the primary residence that you are right there? Because I know that there's a home in the village that people are waiting to be sold and it needs to be repaired. If you look at all these Airbnbs in town, they're all very well maintained. Whereas some people who have neighbors are not maintaining their property. I think it adds to the village property values.
So you're asking if you own a lot and you buy the lot next to you, can you have them both as Airbnbs?
No.
No.
You live in the house and you buy the house next door. Can that be an Airbnb as well?
You can't have two primary residences.
But why is it if the owner is right there?
Because you can't have two primary residences.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think we should make it a rule that it has to be a primary residence. You can either have a property manager or you could be living next door.
I
And
think
what do you
that's-
do for somebody that has a cottage on their property?
That's already looking for a loophole before you have a law.
That might be a variance kind of discussion, I don't know.
If it's an accessory unit, that's currently allowed under this draft, whether it's a single-family dwelling, a two-family dwelling, or an accessory unit.
If it goes across a lot line?
Not if it goes across a lot line, no.
Okay.
I find it
That's what
impossible
we're talking
to
about, right?
understand how you can live
Wait,
6
wait,
months
wait,
in
hold on.
one day in 2 residences. That's a challenge, isn't
So
it?
Kevin, you're suggesting that I own a property and I bought a property next to it?
Yes.
That's a separate property, right? So I only get one permit.
Right, you're not renting the house out, Airbnb the way you're living in.
Oh.
But you want to Airbnb the property next door, and you are right there. Why can that not be something that you would have operate as an Airbnb. What's the difference between having a cottage in the back or having the house next door? Or having a property manager right there? We're talking about, Joe Rockford is considered a property manager.
Please, one person at a time.
Yeah, we didn't discuss anything about you.
I'm so sorry.
Off the top of my head, I don't like it.
I mean, this actually all started because there was one Airbnb that somebody was complaining about, and somebody got.
That was a start for this conversation.
Yes.
This conversation has
That's
been
right.
going on
That
for
was a
many
start.
years,
That was a
with
start.
or without one Airbnb on Merritt Avenue. This has been a long-standing issue for a lot of people. And
How
so,
about if you let me finish?
with or without one on Merritt Avenue is irrelevant.
Which is now being sold. Now, if
Good.
that person now wants to have.
Hopefully someone moves into that house and becomes part of the community. That would be great. And lives there full time. That would be optimal.
All right, so are you talking about a hypothetical or an actual situation?
No, this is something that's coming down the pipe.
Oh, okay.
I'm a little nervous about someone not physically being on the property if we're gonna define this as primary residence only. Because then we're stretching it. I understand what you're saying, but you could say, well, gee, I'm like around the corner, I'm on the next street. I mean,
I
I
look out my
understand.
window at that house where I can see what they're doing.
Now, I understand that. What I'm saying is that I think the primary residence definition, if you're gonna be, since we're gonna be eventually getting to legalities here, it has to be on the property itself. And that, I think that's gonna have to be the definition. The reason I brought up the point of grandfathering was I think, whether it's prejudicial or not, I think people who are in the village who have a current business of a STR should be given priority. Okay?
Yes.
They're here, they've proven their worth, they've been able to maintain the property, they've made the financial investment to do it, and I think that should count for something. That's my opinion. All right? So I think that's where it is. And if we're gonna have a maximum of 15, then when properties come up because someone has said, as you said, okay, that property is being sold, it was being used as an Airbnb. If someone comes in and they decide that they want to live in the house and they want to take that adjacent garage, what has been turned into a very, very nice cabins on the side, then they can do that under these rules, because they'd be living there and then just using that adjacent structure as being something to have as the Airbnb, and they'd be monitoring. And I think that's to the crux of what most people are really concerned about. We want someone to be right there, as opposed to someone distance away. They don't have to be in California, but just somewhere.
I think Mike's right. This is slippery slope when you start okay, that
Changing
way,
lines.
before you know it, you're looking across the street and stuff like that. I think we need to try to keep this thing straightforward, simple, as much as possible.
I just think we need Airbnbs, we need places for people to stay here.
I agree 100%.
I mean, the town had all those meetings and everybody said, we need small places for people to stay. Orvis needs it, the Millbrook School needs it.
And in that report, Mann, the consultant, suggested a primary residence owner occupancy requirement.
But maybe she did. But all the people in the community want.
A lot of people in the community did as well.
Yeah, okay.
Well, look, we have 14 now with no restrictions on it, right? That looks like what the village can handle. That's why I think 15 is a good number. I think we should go from there.
I think having a property manager would be enough to solve the problems.
I'm afraid.
And you're going to have Granicus as well. I don't think you need the owner occupancy.
All right, thanks. Anybody else? Yes.
I want to thank you very much for meeting with us today for your time. Certainly cleared up a lot of issues that we had questions about. One thing that I forgot to mention in our meeting today was the LLC restriction still on the table, or has that been taken off?
What was the question?
The LLC.
Oh, LLC, what is that? Oh,
Is your house home in an LLC?
Yeah, it's owned by my husband, myself, and my son. And this was on recommendation of my agent to when we purchased the property. Like I explained to you, the whole issue of purchasing the property here. It was on the table before. It was part of the July.
I don't think it was part of the July. Correct. I could be wrong. We do have a definition in the beginning where it is the applicant is a natural person. Now let me go back and see if that would affect you, because I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
I don't want it to affect someone's Airbnb that is owner occupied. So.
Well, and primarily, when we purchased the property, as I explained to you today, we certainly did a lot of due diligence before we purchased the property for this specific issue. And it was on the agent's recommendation for our purposes that an LLC would be best suited for this. It's like buying a property and put it in a trust. It's the same kind of concept. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure about that.
Okay. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
anyone else? Okay, thanks for the feedback. All right, so based on this, then, Deputy Mayor, you're going to go put a proposal together based on these inputs and based on your latest version and submit to Dutchess County?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, let's move on. Mike, give us an update on the sidewalks.
Yeah, at this point, we were trying to go over the last hurdle to being able to actually start construction. The last hurdle is getting a Department of DOT permit and have approval for being able to do the project. And right now, we had paperwork into the DOT, and I found out today that the person we gave the paperwork to has now requested more forms that they want us to accompany the permit application with. They requested the new forms this past Monday, which need to be signed, and you should be seeing very soon.
No, I didn't. I took care of it.
So you took care of it?
I called Tom, I got the form to sign and sent return to him. He's got it.
Okay, and I believe the contractor has, that we have for the
Okay.
job. So Tom, our engineer, is hoping we have the permit approval by next week, in which case we'll have at least 5 weeks to be able to complete the project, which according to the contractor is very doable. Once we get past November 15th, it gets a little bit sketchy because we may not be able to get concrete. We have other potential problems to deal with. So we're cutting it real close, but I think we can probably, it looks like we can get this done.
Other than the trees?
Other than the trees,
Okay.
I said at the last meeting, the trees are gonna be in the spring. And I even had a conversation with Brad Rowland today to make sure he could help me seek out buyers of, the growers, so that we could get that taken care of over the winter and potentially order the trees as early as December of this year
All right.
for next spring planting.
Okay, any questions or comments about the highway, the sidewalk project? Thank you. Okay, let's go to updates. Deputy Mayor, any updates?
The tennis courts have been repaired.
Great.
So I haven't looked at them yet, but I will take a look and hopefully they'll last for a little bit longer.
All right, good. That was a freebie, right?
Yes,
Next
yes,
year
that
will
was
be
free.
a,
Those were free.
Yeah, okay, good. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. Trustee Herzog.
Okay, just two quick things. Climate Smart Communities had a booth on Community Day inside the Village Hall, where we presented NRI maps and discussed environmental issues with a number of residents. The committee feels really strongly that our outward community reach has been very successful, a lot of positive comments about things going on, and we have a full page of people who gave us their emails, so we can use that as leverage when we go in for accreditation to the DEC for what we're doing. So that was helpful, and a thank you for everybody on the committee who seemed to spend time there doing that. And secondly, I plan on having a shade tree meeting for either last week in October or the first week in November. I haven't got an exact date because I have to check on making sure all the members can attend, but that's going to be coming up. So if anyone is interested in going to the shade tree meeting, that's gonna be coming up.
Can you let us know?
Yes.
Did you have a date, or did you gonna?
I have to check with the people on the board to get an exact date. Right now, I'm shooting for the last week in October, which is also the first 3 days of November.
Okay.
If I can. And barring not being able to get at least 80% of the people on the committee, then that's what we're gonna try to have.
Okay.
Excuse me, just 1 second, do you mind if I'm hearing impaired? I can't hear you. Do you mind if I sit a little bit closer?
Sure.
Sorry.
It's fine. Did you understand what I just said about the shade tree meeting? Did you get that? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. That's fine.
Okay, Mike, anything else?
No, that's it. That's all I have.
Trustee Murphy?
Nothing, just the steps. I talked to Bob, he said he's gonna start the village steps in November, so. we'll have
Okay.
them squared away by then.
Is there an end date these guys, well, Mike says there's an end date here by the middle of November?
Well,
Okay,
the contractor said, you know, the what do you call it, the blacktop plant and the cement
Concrete,
plant, concrete plant closed down anywhere between mid-November to the 1st of December. It's not
Yeah, it's
drop dead.
It's based on the temperatures.
It's based on the
Yeah,
temperature.
yeah,
So if you get a cold snap at the end of November, they could say, done.
Or it could go the other way where they'll keep it open a little bit longer, but
Okay.
they're not into December usually or late.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
great.
That's why I'm hoping I should know by the end of next week, have a start date where
All right.
sun will be able to come up and start construction.
All right, good, thanks, Pat. Two things on my mind. One of them is, at the Community Day, Dutchess County had their health and wellness table there. And I was talking to one of the people there, they said that the county offers, for the general public, training in using Narcan, which is, you know, a response to opiate overdose, and for free. And they actually give out samples of Narcan to people who are interested in actually having that capability. What do you think about us calling like a general meeting of that? Have them come down and just train the public who's interested.
That.
I'm sorry?
I'd be into that.
Yeah.
Just to like learn how to use it correctly, you know?
Yeah, it's very straightforward. Actually, I had
you
the,
inject it in your nose, right?
Right. I had the health commissioner come by a few years ago and just train the police. It was a very straightforward, simple thing to do. The hardest thing was getting the Narcan.
Yeah, I actually have.
Open the public.
This
That's my thought.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah.
We can get volunteers to be able to have that capability, just like getting certified in first aid
Mhm.
and in CPR and things of that nature.
All right, so I'll call them up back and I'll see if I can set it up. I'll do that. Sometimes to do benefit from. Then the last thing I got is the vultures. I sent you a proposal just got from the DOT. And I guess I'm going to do some first pass responses to that.
You guarantee it would work?
No.
And what does it consist of?
So what it is they talk about three things: pyrotechnics.
I saw that.
You saw that. Noise,
No, yeah.
lights,
Yeah,
and
lights.
dead vultures they string around. And what they actually said was they would string them on a bracket they would mount on the chimneys of the businesses that were affected. Now, when I met with those guys, the business guys, I said, you know, this is a business owner kind of a problem. Until the guy pointed out to me how the tops of all these big evergreens in the village are dying. And he said that's going to kill those trees. And so that's when I think the village has to be interested and concerned about this. Now, so I'm kind of leaning that way, although I would think about a sharing kind of deal, maybe with the business group or whatever.
And their professional estimate was like about around 100 of them too, you said, right?
100 what?
Vultures going over.
Oh, that's what they
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, when a deer
That's a
dropped
lot, I
over
believe
in a farm in back of, or in a house in back of Reservoir, there were easily, I'm going to say, 200 sitting around everything. It was just gross.
They're protected, right?
They are protected.
Yes, I could think of another way. I could think
Right,
of one
yeah,
way.
a cheaper way.
Joe Bledry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Well, I personally, I think it's something that is, it's a real pull on the business district. It affects our trees. I think if they have someone at the Department of Agriculture who is certified to be able to have the plan to do this, and we can bring in, for the amount of money you were quoting, between 5 or 6,000.
No, 6,400.
6,400.
That was for 2 people to be here for a week.
I think it's worth a shot.
We're having a
To
vulture
do a
problem.
full set of activities to disturb them, and by hanging these effigies, they claim that will scare them away.
The vultures are tearing the roofs in the villages.
And I actually saw the roofs firsthand. It's really bad.
They're eating the rubber right off the
Yeah.
roofs, and someone just redid their.
For some reason, they're attracted to the rubber and whatever, and they just rip it apart.
Just throw a dead deer in the backyard, that'll check it.
All right, so chew on some more because I just got sent it this afternoon, and we should discuss making a decision next month. In the meantime, I'll feed back to the Business Association to see how much they want to go in on this. Because it wasn't just the 2 guys over there, there's other buildings that right around there that are affected as well.
And I've had complaints from people on Reservoir that have also said, because they seem to be in a close proximity to the businesses and the dumpsters and that kind of stuff.
That was one of the things he said we need to mitigate is to get the dumpster lids closed.
Yes.
Which is something else we should be focusing on.
But if they have a plan on being able to at least get them disrupted and moved on, since we can't deal with them in an inhumane way,
Mm-hmm. Right.
let's put it
We gotta
bluntly,
try it.
then we gotta try it.
Okay. Just know that it is temporary, they're migratory as well as being protected, which means we could scare away this group.
They'll be back.
And they'll be back.
Yeah, well,
What's that zoo called at the Millbrook College?
Trevor's Zoo?
Zoo. Well, that's where they all go at night. They just hang out there. They came from there.
Actually, that's when I was there.
They go
actually
right
were
back
there.
there.
They were there.
The place is full of them.
Yeah.
And you can watch them. Like, they fly right over my house and right back to Traven because they're everywhere.
All right, so it's something to chew on. I like any thoughts you've got about this. I'll talk to the Business Association. Comment?
They say that if you take like a little line of electrical, like almost like you have for like keeping a cow like in a fence, you run a line out the top of your roof, they won't land there anymore because they get a little shock.
Is that right?
That's permanent because like an effigy, like you have a tree problem where it's gonna like maybe rip them down or something. I mean, I'd love to see fireworks, don't get me wrong, if we could blow the fireworks off before the end of the fall, I'd be really happy while we waited for people to get their electric wire, but it doesn't, you just run a single string because they're sitting on the top, right?
Mhm.
Where it's a perch.
Right.
You run a line of it there and they won't come back because they get zapped and it's not like hazardous and you can even use a little.
That wasn't on his
solar
list, but I'll ask if that's a possibility.
It won't hurt them. I mean,
The nice part about that is it being more of a long-term solution.
Yeah.
As opposed to the effigies, he said, only last that they rot. So
and it's a lot less than $6,700.
Some of them shouldn't, so you can't see.
It's a lot less than $6,700.
Okay, that's all I got. Anything else for tonight?
I have one question.
Yes.
This is just like a long-standing one. After watching the huge tankers come up and down Franklin Avenue, and I was told that we can't make them stop, and I think there's like 13 a day, as well as, I noticed you want to drop the speed limit. Is there a way, like, you know where the park is? Park meets where the, where Morona's gas station is?
Mhm.
Could we put, or could we talk about, or just begin thinking and dreaming of like a traffic circle there? Put something pretty in the
It's
middle,
state.
like a thorn statue or
That's
something.
not
It's a
our
state
road.
road.
Huh?
It's a state road.
That's not the village's
We
property.
have no.
Very hard to make
Can't we
any.
put in a request
So
to
there's
the
no way you
DOT?
can stop all these tractor
No.
trailers blistering through
The
town.
state would have to approve it. It'd be an uphill battle for any
No, that's
changes to
what
state
we
roads.
We've been down the path for years past. That's why we
20
stopped
miles
the
an
trucks.
hour. Really
Yeah.
mess
Sorry,
them
I
up.
didn't hear you.
I said, we've been down the path before trying to stop the trucks from going to the village.
Yeah.
And so
What
the
did
main
they
problem we have
carry?
is it's a state road, so we
Are
can't.
they carrying biohazards and waste material from
They're free to be on the state road.
Don't matter, does it? You can do
Yeah.
what you want.
Anything they want.
We have no, if we don't have any jurisdiction, then that's the problem. It's a matter of the state being able to say no, and that then the state police would get involved. But it's, we can't have our local policemen doing anything more than just trying to enforce the law. Now, I mean, if we could harass them to death by having somebody sit there permanently and every time they got a wheel over the yellow line, give them a ticket, that type of thing, but that's not.
There's a will, there's a way.
But the problem is you can't, but you have to be
We
able,
volunteer to do that.
you have to be able, do it equally, and then every bus that goes down Franklin Avenue and goes over the yellow line, you can't be, citing the bus driver to do that either, so.
We'd have to be looking in that general
Let's first work on lowering the speed limit. I'll go from there.
Yeah, so.
Okay, if that's all the comments, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.